Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Puranam Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniം Bhagavatim Ashtadashaധ്യായിനീം Amba Tvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshinim Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Vallaravindayata Netra Yena Tvaya Bharati Tela Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipava Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikaparnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gītāmritaduhi Namaha Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhota Dugdham Gītāmritam Mahata Vasudevasatam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hari Om. Hari Om. Good morning, everybody, wherever you are. We are seeing Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18. We saw, I don't know if you remember, but this chapter began with Arjuna asking about Tyaga and Sannyasa. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah, if you can't hear me, please just check your volume on your computer, right? Tyaga versus Sannyasa. Really, is there a difference? Are they just synonyms for the same thing or what? And in summary, Bhagavan explained how Tyaga is Karma Yoga, doing actions with the right attitude, without hankering for the results, and it happens to be preparation for sannyasa. Sannyasa is total renunciation of ego. That total renunciation of ego is only possible because of, by knowledge of the self. Right? The self, which is the non-doer, the non-enjoyer. Akarta, abhokta. Sannyasa is coming to realize that I am not the doer. I have to go totally beyond all action. I have to go totally beyond karma to understand it fully. Well, I also have to understand karma fully to go beyond it. So here we are trying to go beyond karma. Now, Bhagavan Krishna had started to explain karma in detail. He explained that there are 5 factors involved. We have our body, which is needed to do karma. A karta is needed, meaning a doer, or the feeling of doership. Organs of action and perception are needed, instruments. We need our pranas, or so many different efforts required for one karma. We need deva. We need the grace of the phenomenal forces. And whether action is done at the body, at the level of the body, or the speech, or the mind, these 5 factors are the cause for karma. This being the case, that karma is happening because of the interaction of these 5 factors, Bhagavan makes a leap and says that the one who really sees this situation as it is, meaning the one who really sees that karma is happening because of these 5 factors, he is the one who realizes that the Atma is not the one who is doing. The self is not the one who is doing. The self, the Atma, meaning me, not this thing out there that we call the self. I am not the one who is doing. Bhagavan says, but without a refined intellect, I feel I'm doing. It's not possible to come to the feeling that I'm not the doer if I don't have a refined intellect. Akrita buddhitvat, because of an unrefined intellect, I feel like I am the doer. I don't like to think that I have an unrefined intellect. That feels insulting to all the education I've gone through. But the reality is, from the Shastric point of view, if I feel like I am the doer, it means my intellect is still not as refined as it could be. Someone with the understanding that the self is not the doer, right? The self is not the enjoyer, meaning who has no karta bhav, who has no bhokta bhav, even if that person kills everyone or destroys this whole world, not world, worlds, right? That person really doesn't kill. That person is really not bound. Remember, this is in the context of Arjuna not wanting to fight. So Bhagavan gives the example of how even if someone fights, even if they kill, really they don't kill, really they're not bound. Bhagavan jumped multiple steps between these verses. And remember, this is the last chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And so these ideas have come before. If you haven't heard these ideas before, that I am really not the doer, well, maybe the ideas flew over your head. Maybe it cracked your head. I don't know. So many different things could have happened. Maybe it inspired you to want to know more, right? But it doesn't matter, right? Because these ideas come over and over and over again. And there has to be a first time for hearing them, right? So think about this a little bit one more time. This idea that the self is not the doer, right? Let's call it the self, this objective self that is talked about, right? Let's keep it objective for a moment. There are endless lines of thinking that help us to reach this conclusion. They're presented in the Shastra. We're going to just take one logical line of thinking. Simple, logical line of thinking. Whoever does an action, that person must receive the result. True or false? That is the law of karma. The one who is the doer, as you sow, so shall you reap. Law of karma. If I do an action, I must receive the result of the action. Okay. Now, are actions good, bad, or mixed? Mixed. So the results will be good, bad, or mixed. Mixed. We've seen that, right? Results will come to us, and results will be anishtam, ishtam, mishram. There'll be results that we like, results that we don't like, and results that are mixed. I kind of like, kind of don't like, right? Both of them together. The snow looks so beautiful, but I don't like to shovel. So both of them come mixed like that, right? Now, if the self is the one who is doing, this self, this thing, this person, this whoever, this body of something, this being, if the self is doing, then by the law, the self has to get results, correct? If the self is doing, the self has to get results. Okay. If the self has to get results, that means the self is bound. Because bondage means I'm bound to face the results of my actions, whether good or bad. That is one of the definitions of knowledge. Okay, so the self is bound. If the self is a doer, the self is bound. So far, so good? Okay. So the conclusion is, if self is doer, self is bound. So what if the self is bound? What's the problem? That's the self's problem, not my problem. I don't have anything to do with it. No, see the problem, right? The conclusion is, well, the logical necessity or the logical next step in that is, it means there is no mukti. What is mukti? Mukti is freedom from bondage, freedom from all bondage. How do we get mukti? By realizing that that self that we are objectively talking about, that self is me. That is mukti. Me realizing I am the self. I am not body. I'm not intellect. I'm not mind. I'm not senses. I'm not this thing that I currently think I am. I am not. I am actually the self, and I am actually mukta. I am already free. Now, if the self is also bound, then when I realize that I am the self, it means that I will still be bound. So then what is the difference between my current state and the state of knowing that I'm the self? That means mukti cannot really exist. But that also cannot be, because it is the personal living experience of so many rishis. Mukti does exist. It is possible for it to be our experience too. And if mukti doesn't exist, then shastras will be pointless. But they're not. So how is it that everything else Shastra says is true, and this one thing that it says that you're going to get, that mukti is your nature, means being mukta is your nature, is not true? Can't be. Right? So logically, the self has to be a non-doer. Correct or wrong? Logically, the self has to be a non-doer. This is just one simple line of logic, right? Now, a person can get there theoretically. They can get to this understanding that the self is non-doer. You give me logic. Okay. Logically, I understand self has to be non-doer by this one logic, right? But then to reach the conclusion or to reach the realization that that self, which is non-doer, logically non-doer, that self is me, well, that comes from a tremendous amount of vichara. Tremendous means not once a week. Tremendous means not once a day. Tremendous means not twice a day. Tremendous means lifetimes of vichara. For how many lifetimes have we thought I am the body? For how many lifetimes have we thought I am the doer? Right? So how many lifetimes are required for us to think in a different direction? Actually, time is not a measure. I shouldn't be saying it takes lifetimes. The intensity of lifetimes is what is required, but you can get there in a moment if you have the right intensity. Now, okay. The truth is there is a doer. There must be a doer. Someone must be doing. But the doer is not me. That is the difference. There is a doer, but the doer is not me. It is very hard to wrap our minds around the fact that the doer is just a thought in my intellect. Doership is just a thought in my intellect. When you study Vivekachudamani, when you study Upanishads, it explains how this karta bhav, or this feeling of doership, is just a feeling in the intellect. It's very hard to digest, but it is digestible. Okay? Now, one who has reached this state really feels like a non-doer. They really feel like they're doing nothing. It's described that even eating, even sleeping, there's that famous, 2 verses in chapter 5, which people find so hard to chant. Gachan, what is it? Unmishan, nimishan napi, right? That two verses that tell how no matter what he is doing, he's not really the one who is doing it. It is just being done. Actually, the passive sense in Sanskrit is really cool because it keeps reminding us that things are being done. I am not the focus. The thing is just being done. Passive versus active is what? This is a little English/Sanskrit lesson. Um, I am eating is an active sentence, right? Eating is being done by me is a passive sentence. The active sentence focuses on the person who is doing. And that is the way we are taught to think in English. But in Sanskrit, it is primarily the passive use of the language. I mean, the passive, what is it? The passive voice that is used primarily in our Shastras, right? Eating is being done. Now, by me comes as a byproduct, right? So the Shastras teach us that I am not really the doer. So who is doing? In chapter 3, Bhagavan explained, Gunagunishu Vartante. The gunas are just interacting with each other. Or, like in a dream, it's just happening. And I'm just watching it all happen. While I'm in the dream, I think I'm the little person in the dream. No, but I'm actually not. We're connected. She can't exist without me. And whatever she goes through affects my heart rate and all of these things, right? They're connected. But really, I'm not that dream body. I only think that I am. Point is, I'm not who I think I am in this world. I'm not. Just my mind should be open to the possibility that I am not who I really think I am. Meaning there's truth, and then there's something that looks like truth. Like the sun rises. That looks like truth. But does the sun really rise? There's a deeper truth than the fact that the sun rises. Right? Now, you can't wake up in the morning and say, no, you can't, say the sun doesn't rise. So I'm actually not going to wake up in the morning because there is nothing like morning. No, for all practical reasons, we accept the fact, we say the sun rises and the sun sets, and we live in accordance with that subjective reality. But we know fundamentally that actually it doesn't rise and it doesn't set. There's just an illusion of rising and setting. So now I'm supposed to get to the personal experience that I am not the doer. How? I have to purify my mind by karma yoga or sattvic tyaga, right? And all the other sadhanas given. I have to study shastra, means I have to do shravanam. I have to do mananam, think over and over and over again on the ideas and remove all doubts. And once I have developed a intellectual conviction that what the shastras are saying is true, then I'm supposed to do nididhyasanam. I'm supposed to meditate on those ideas until they become my personal experience. What I'm not supposed to do is go around saying I'm not the doer right now. Stop doing the dishes. The dishes show up and everyone's like, but you were supposed to do the dishes. And you're like, no, I'm not the doer. So no, I'm not doing dishes. Well, then you should stop eating. You should stop sleeping. You should stop everything if you're not the doer, right? Stop going to work. It doesn't work like that. Another example to think about is, physics tells us that all solid things are actually 99.9% space. Have you heard that before? If you haven't heard that, you can Google it, and not now, or ask ChatGPT to explain it to you. Everything that is solid in this world, like this wall is solid, right? Is actually 99.9% space. Having found out the fact that this wall is 99.9% space, am I going to now try to walk through it and say, no, hello, this wall is 99.9% space. I'm just going to walk through walls from today. I mean, that would be really cool. But it doesn't work like that. The fundamental understanding of something and our practical interaction with it are two different things. So the fundamental understanding that I am not the doer should not be a cop out of our duties, right? The practicality of life is that I feel like I'm the doer. So as long as I feel like I'm the doer, I have to act, do my duty in such a way that I come to realize that I am not the doer. Is everyone clear about this thing? Because a lot of questions came up around this, right? Do I have to do dishes really if I'm not the doer? They're the biggest top of the list thing, right? Now, one other thing to think about here is when I say I or when I say me, what do I mean? What do I mean when I say I? See, if somebody gets into an accident on the road, a little, two bumpers hit each other, right? What is the person who comes out of the car and then you go to them and you're like, why did you hit me? Why did you hit who? Why did you hit me? What is my identity at that time? I am identified with my car so much that I say, why did you hit me? Am I really my car? I know I'm not my car. I very well know I'm not my car. But at that time, the identity is so strong that I call it me. Okay? Okay. Then when I say I am cold, at that time, what am I identified with? Or I am old. I am cold, I am old, both, right? I think at that time, I'm so identified with the body that I say, I am cold. I'm not always identified with the body, but when I'm identified with the body, I say things. When I say something like, I am hungry, or I am full, I am identified with the pranas. When I say, I am happy, or I am sad, I am identified with the mind. When I say I'm smart, or I'm not smart, right? I'm identified with the intellect. When I say I am the one who is doing, there also I am identified with the intellect. Remember, there is a doer, but it's not who I really am. I think it's me, just like I think I'm the body and I'm the mind and I'm the intellect and I'm all my thoughts. But actually, who am I really? I am the one because of which all of this is happening. I am like the electricity supply for the body to function. I am like the sun because of which the flowers open. I am like the petrol because of which the car moves. So when I say I, or when I say me, I should keep on thinking, what am I identifying with at the time to say I or me? Vedanta tells us, our rishis tell us, I am Brahman. I am the reality. I am the self that is beyond all karma, that is beyond all limitations, that is beyond everything that brings sorrow in my life. And the journey to get there is the journey that we are all on. So hearing that I am not the doer is not enough for me to say, oh, yes, okay, I'm not the doer. It's a journey, but it starts by acknowledging the fact that there may be a truth to the fact that I am someone other than who I think I am to be. So we start there with the possibility. And then we move through this journey to get to the realization that actually I'm completely different than I thought I was. Right? So something to keep in mind. Now, okay, all of this being said, there's a lot of heavy vichara to be done. This seems so out of my reach to understand that I'm not the doer for all of us, not just for you, but for all of us, right? So what can we do today where we are without waiting till we get the kind of clarity that allows us to meditate on this idea and realize it for ourselves? Well, everybody can start with something, no matter where they are, to move in that direction. The first thing is we can start by giving up some relative doership. How? By thinking about how many things happened outside of me and outside of my control for that action to happen. How many things happened because of which I was able to eat food, for example. We say, I am eating rice. You just think about how many things are required before and after in that statement for me to be able to say, I am eating rice. When I say I am eating rice, what is really happening is my hand is taking the food and putting it in my mouth. And my mouth is chewing it and it's getting swallowed. That action is called eating, correct? Now, for eating to happen, what had to happen before? Well, from every single line of thinking, an infinite number of things had to happen. For me to get the money to buy that, how many things had to happen? The existence of the economy and the existence of my job and the existence of the industry of my job that allows that, and all the education and all the educational institutions and all the lawmakers and everything that allows educational institutions and financial institutions to exist, they all have to exist for me to be able to get money to go and buy the food. Then for the food to reach there, for that rice to reach the place I went to buy it, that whole supply chain and all the trucks and all the everything required for it to get there, right? Infinite number of things. And then the oil industry and all of that. Then I'm telling in brief, in a chick discussion, we will spend a whole class thinking about this, right? Then from the point of view of the actual food being produced that I am eating, well, you have to go all the way back to the sun. And to go back to the sun, you have to go all the way back to the phenomenal forces because of which the laws are working in the way they are working, right? Then, now for me to actually cook that food to eat it, or somebody to cook that food, the whole industry of cooking and all the pots and pans and stoves and all of that, and all the industries that back those things are required. Okay, so now I'm just telling a few examples. Right? Then, is it possible for me to eat if I'm not hungry? Well, actually, some people do eat if they're not hungry, but is it possible for me to eat if there's no space in my belly? So my pranas have to be working. All stuff related to digestion has to be working. If I'm hungry, but I have nausea, then also I can't eat. So how many things are required for me to be able to do this one action called eating? Infinite number of things required. Then for me to be able to eat, I require energy, which came from prior energy. Right? The more you think about it, the more you start to wonder, well, how much am I actually contributing? But I feel like the act of eating is 100% done by me. I guess doctors will be able to convince you more that no, there's too much going on for you to say that you're the one who's eating and take full responsibility for it. Okay. So anyways, this is just a simple, tiny example, right? To achieve any accomplishment at work or at school, same thought process has to go through. How much did I actually contribute to getting this A in my paper? Where did the language come from? And where did the money to send me to school come from? I mean, whether my parents are paying for it or the government is paying, someone's paying, right? And so many factors in every single thing. Point is, we should start to think along the lines of how much I actually contribute in an action. When I start to think like that, I realize that things are just being done through. And that feeling of things are being done through me, once it starts to come, I'll still feel like I'm doing some, and then some stuff is just being done around me. They both will be there, right? Coexist. Okay, I didn't do 100%. I did 30%. I did 50%. I did 80%. I did 90%. Wherever you start, right? But you start there and then you keep thinking. And the more you think, the more your percentage contribution starts to decrease, right? So this is at a relative level, something we can do very practically. Another thing is, if I feel like I'm the doer, which we all feel, all of us feel like I'm going to class, I'm going to listen, I'm going to eat after, I'm going to do this, all of us feel like that. That is who we are, that is where we are. If we have that feeling, it means our buddhi is still asanskrita. It means our buddhi is still not as refined as it could be. It means that it is an indication for me to keep doing sadhana. It's inspiration for me to keep doing sadhana. I don't know. So I don't know about you guys and what kind of ads you get pushed on social media, but I'm part of the team. I manage the Chinmay Mission Guyana Facebook, right? So I have to be on the Facebook account sometimes. And so sometimes I'll open it, and when you're scrolling, they push ads. Well, I don't know why they're pushing this ad, but somehow I'm getting ads that, are you over 40 and still using ChatGPT like Google? Are you using ChatGPT like Google? And the question is supposed to make you think, well, if you're using it like Google, you're doing something wrong. There's so much that it could do for you other than Google, right? That's supposed to make you think, oh, what else could I be using it for? If I feel like I'm the doer, it's supposed to make me think, hey, what sadhana should I do to remove this feeling that I'm the doer? Like that. Huh? So we're supposed to keep studying to understand. Then on the other side, we're supposed to keep doing. Doing what? Doing our duty in such a way that we get purity of mind. That purity of mind will allow me to study Shastra, to do Shravanam. That Shravanam will allow me to do Mananam, think about the ideas and remove my doubts. That Mananam will allow me to do Nididhyasanam, meditate on the conviction that really I'm not the doer. It all starts with the simple thing Bhagavan told, never give up sattvic tyaga. Yajna dana tapa na tyajya. Don't give up these essential actions. Okay, then we can start using the passive form of speaking. Okay, don't please go out and talk to people in the passive voice. In your own head, right? You go outside and your family asks you something and you're like, yes, the dishes are being washed. Mom, Dad, are you okay? We don't talk in passive in English, but we're allowed to start thinking in passive in our head, because in Sanskrit we think in passive, we talk in passive, right? Or switch to Sanskrit, and then your problems will go away, right? So, okay. The other thing is, keep reminding yourself that you're the instrument. One of the chicks I had met a chick who, anytime you gave her a compliment for something that she had done, she would do this action. Like, meaning it just came through me, right? And that was her way of us not taking all the credit. You can get there, right? Anyways, Bhagavan knows it's a very hard concept to grasp, this feeling that I am not the doer. Honestly, you can study every single Upanishad that exists, or at least the 10 major Upanishads. You can study Vivekachudamani, you can study Atmabodha, you can study Tattvabodha, you can study Upadesha Sara, you can study Saddarshanam, you can study every single Vedantic text. that is studied in a Vedanta course. And you can come out still feeling like you are the doer. Because it is not just about theoretical knowledge. And it is not something that you get to by hearing one or two times. Right? It is something that we have to go on thinking about. So Bhagavan is saying that the one who truly understands is the one who feels like I am not the doer. But we shouldn't feel bad if we don't feel that right. We should feel blessed that we've heard this thought that I'm not the doer. How many people go through their whole life never hearing, hey, you're not really the doer? So it's a blessing to even hear it. And it's a blessing that we have the opportunity to move in that direction. Okay. So I promised to go over it again. I hope that everybody feels a little better after the explosion of our minds last week. And now, Bhagavan himself knows it's a hard concept. Bhagavan himself knows there's so much yet to think about. And so what Bhagavan does is he goes on to talk more about karma. This line of thinking is paused here, and he goes back now into a very tangible thought process or a very tangible topic related to karma. Right? Because see, we have to do karma right now. That's where we are. We are doers. In our mind, we are doers. So I have to do. So I should do in such a way that takes me to understand that I'm not the doer. But to do that, I have to fully understand. Do I fully understand karma? Do I know why I do what I do? What exactly is it that prompts me to do karma? What is it that motivates and induces karma? See, everybody is acting, but everybody does actions so differently. Correct or wrong? We all make different choices. Forget different choices, different people. Even us, at different times, the same person makes different choices, different decisions regarding our actions. What exactly is at the root of these actions? When I understand that, then I can contrast it with the actionless state I'm supposed to reach. And then I'm able to reach that. Right? So now Bhagavan is going to give an exposition on karma, a mind-blowing exposition on karma. Don't worry, not a mind cracking, not a mind exploding, just a mind-blowing one, right? In that other sense of the word. So let us see. First, he introduces the topic. He takes time to introduce the topic in 2 verses. He's going to tell what he's going to tell in 2 verses. So let us chant now number 18. Verse number 18. Oh, 18:18. So we are on 18:18. It will not come again in this chapter. I mean, no verse comes again, but 18:18. Okay, ready? Jnanam nyeyam pariknyata
ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं परिज्ञाता
vividha karma chodana
त्रिविधा कर्म चोदना
karanam karma karteti
करणं कर्म कर्तेति
vividha karma sangraha.
त्रिविधः कर्म सङ्ग्रहः.
Okay. Bhagavan says, Trividha karma chodana. There are 3 motivators for action. 3 things that induce karma, propel karma, motivate karma. Not factors. These are not factors, these are inducers of karma. What is it that motivates or induces karma? Because you can have a body and a mind and instruments, but what is it that prompts all of that to action? What is the way that it is prompted? Bhagavan says, Jnanam, Niyam, Parignyata. 3 things he says. Knowledge, the object of knowledge, the thing that is known, and the knower, the jiva, me, the me that I call myself right now. Huh? So three things induce karma. Three motivators are there of karma that determine how the karma unfolds. What is that? Knowledge, objective knowledge, and the knower, me. You may say, wait. I thought karma was prompted by desire. I thought it was induced by desire. There's something called avidya kama karma. We talk about how desire is what leads to action, right? Desire is not independent of these three. See, desire needs to exist in a person or not. Have you ever seen desire existing in the air? Desire exists in a person. That person is the jnata here, the knower. Then desire can only be prompted if the thing is known. See, can you desire cassava ball? Well, yeah. I mean, if you live in Guyana and you know what cassava ball is, then you can desire. Can you desire cheese sticks? Cheese sticks mean different things to different people in different parts of the world. You have to come to Guyana to have real good cheese sticks, huh? Then you'll know what are cheese sticks. And then maybe you can convince someone coming to visit Guyana to bring you some if you can't come yet. Anyways, can you desire bofrot? What is bofrot? Is that a thing? Bofrot is like a giant timbit that is sold in Ghana, or like a donut without a hole, a big donut kind of thing without a hole. It's called bofrot. Can you desire it if you don't even know it? Well, I can desire it, but you can't. You have to know something before you can desire it, right? So the objective knowledge is required even for the desire. Then I have to know that I have the desire. If you don't know you have the desire, what good is the desire? It's not a desire then, right? So a knower, objective knowledge, and knowledge are required for even the desire. So these things precede the desire that prompts the karma. So there's no contradiction. Okay. Now, without these three, no action is possible because they're prompters of action. Huh? In the next line, Bhagavan gives three factors or elements required for karma. There's an overlap between these three factors and the factors that were told earlier. They're part of this. What are they? Karanam, karma, karta, iti. The karana, meaning the instruments by which the action is done. Karma, the karma itself. And karta, the doer. Right now, when we do karma, all these six are required. Okay, don't worry, Bhagavan is going to go into detail, so everything will become clear. He's just telling what he's going to tell. In the next verse, he takes these same six and now he reduces them to three. So now let us see how he reduces. Which three? If you had to pick only three, which three would you pick? Well, let's see what Bhagavan picks, right? He picks three. Jnanam karma cha karta cha.
Jnanam karma cha karta cha.
Vividhaiva guna bhedataha.
त्रिथैव गुणभेदतः
Vividhaiva guna bhedataha.
त्रिधैव गुणभेदतः
Prochyate guna sankhyaने.
प्रोच्यते गुणसङ्ख्याने
Yathavat shrinutanyapि.
यथावच्छृणुतान्यपि.
When you are chanting and the meter is finished, but your words are not finished, you should know you made a mistake. I put an extra syllable there and the meter finished. Okay. Jnanam karma cha karta cha. Tridhaiva guna bhedataha. These three, jnanam, karma, karta, these are of three types, depending on their gunas, depending on their qualities. Which ones did Bhagavan pick? Jnanam, karma, karta. And he's saying these three are of three types. They're sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. So 3 times 3 is 9. So you can probably predict the 9 verses coming up. If you have learned Bhagavan style, you can predict the verses coming up. Sattvic, rajasic, tamasic jnana, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic karma, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic karta. What about the other 3? They're not important? Bhagavan, you left out which one? You chose jnanam, you chose karma, you chose karta. But what about niyam? What about parignyata? What about karanam? You just didn't care about them? They're just not important? Like what's going on, Bhagavan? You playing favorite with some words here. If you give thought, you'll see. Nyata is knower. Karta is doer. Is the karta not the same person as the nyata? The one who does is the same as the one who knows. So talking about either is talking about the same. We see equality, we see oneness in Vedanta, right? There's oneness between the knower and the doer. So Bhagavan says nyata, karta over here, right? So there's nyata is also covered. Then neya, that which is known. You know, things in the world are as they are. Imagine if Bhagavan said, hey, this pen is tamasic, or this pen is sattvic. No, things in the world are as they are, made of the gunas as they are, all 3 gunas. My response is what is going to vary, right? So we're not going to study how things in the world are sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. We're supposed to focus on our response, right? So we're not focusing on the object of knowledge. They are what they are in their sattva, rajas, tamas. Then the last one that Bhagavan leaves out is karanam. Karanam is organs of action, organs of perception. Have you ever heard somebody blaming the instrument? Eyes, you were too tamasic. What did the eyes do to you? It's the person behind the eyes that determines what the eye sees. So again, the karanam is not something that we study as sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. We study the thing behind that drives what the organs of action and what the organs of perception do, right? So these 3 are left out. Bhagavan focuses on jnanam, karma, karta. In the second line, he says, prochyate guna sankhyane. These things that I'm telling now, they're told in guna sankhyane. They're told in Sankhya Shastra. He's telling his reference, where the qualities, meaning that Shastra where the qualities of Prakriti are described as Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. He's telling based on that authority. So he's not making up anything. He's telling based on Sankhya philosophy. He says, Yathavat Shrinu Tani Api. Now you listen to them. I am going to tell you them in this same order. So he's going to tell Jnanam, Karma, Karta. So all he did in these 2 verses is he told what he's going to tell. So you have a little skeleton in your mind of what is coming. And then he's going to tell it. I don't know about you, but I find it so much easier to study or to understand something when I see the full picture. And then I'm able to put things in place where they're supposed to go. I guess it's kind of like trying to make a puzzle without seeing the full picture. You don't know where what goes, right? But when you have the full picture in mind, then you can see the details after that, right? I find it very helpful to have a general idea. I'm very happy Bhagavan is doing this. It is also a great way for us to learn how to teach or how to do anything. You know, you might go to like a bhajan sandhya and then someone comes on stage to sing, right? And now you're thinking, well, how many bhajans are they going to sing? Because I'm hungry. Now, if this person says, Hari Om, everybody, I'm going to sing 3 bhajans. I'm going to sing one for Lord Ganesha, one for Krishna, and one for Dev. But now you can sit back, you can relax, and you can enjoy those 3 bhajans. If they don't say that, All you're thinking is, well, how many more are they going to sing? So, conclusion, if you want people to enjoy what you're going to sing or say, well, tell what you're going to say and then tell it. It gives people a lot of peace of mind. Anyways, Bhagavan is going to tell now Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, Jnanam, Karma, Karta. This section, Guruji has done just these verses, right? This set of verses with the next few that come after this. He calls this section Vision of Transformation. Because really speaking, this section, understanding it, transforms our vision. See, according to my knowledge, according to my understanding, all my actions will be prompted. Karma chodana, all my karmas will be induced based on my knowledge. Right? So he starts there, and the whole vision of our life gets transformed so sweetly, so simply by studying these verses. Right? So let us start. Instead of talking about it, let us see what he says. Sarvabhuteshu yenekam. Oh, sorry.
सर्वभूतेषु येनैकम्
Bhavamavyayamikshate
भावमव्ययमीक्षते
avibhaktam vibhakteshu
अविभक्तं विभक्तेषु
tajnanam vidhi satvikam.
तज्ज्ञानं विद्धि सात्विकम्
Tajnanam vidhi satvikam. Know this knowledge to be sattvic. Which knowledge? Actually, before we see which knowledge, just think a little bit about what Bhagavan means when he says jnana. Jnanam literally means knowledge. Everyone knows that, right? Sometimes jnanam is used in the context of the highest knowledge. Sometimes it's used in the context of normal knowledge. How is it used here? It's used here in the context of vision. How do I see the world? How do I really look at life? My vision is what determines my value system. It's what determines my pursuits. It's what determines my responses. And it doesn't have to be a conscious thing. There's so many things about my vision that I don't know about. See, is it not true that people look at life differently? Some people look at life and they say, YOLO. You only live once. Therefore, eat, drink, and be merry. That's a philosophy of life or not? That's a vision of life. What you do and how you choose what you do will depend on that. If I really feel like life is YOLO, you'll go and you'll enjoy everything you can with no consequences. Some people think time is money. That's their vision of life. Time is money. So what will their decisions be? Some people think work is life. Some people think family is life. Some people think life is about finishing a bucket list. That's the purpose of life. Some people think their vision of life is getting an opportunity to serve or to study. How do you look at life? I'm not asking about your satsang answer. In satsang, we say, we look at life as an opportunity to be in satsang. And satsang, we give all kind of different answers. Talking about really, in practicality, what is our vision of how do we look at life? You might say, well, I've never really put words to it. I'm not sure. Bhagavan is now going to tell the 3 types of vision. The purpose of this is for us to see where we fit. And once we see where we fit, honestly see where we fit, then we can move to the nobler one. So first he says, Tat jnanam vidhi sattvikam. Know this knowledge to be sattvic. Know this vision to be sattvic. He starts with sattvic. Yena sarva bhuteshu ekam bhavam avyayam ikshati. By which, in all bhutas, in all beings, in all things, he sees one bhavam, one reality, one avyayam, one imperishable, unchanging reality that pervades every iota of this cosmos. Same reality that pervades me is the same reality that pervades all things. And avibhaktam vibhakteshu. This phrase is coming second time in Bhagavad Gita. In all separation, the one who sees oneness. See, our eyes naturally see division, right? When you look outside, do you see one thing? No, we see colors, shapes, forms, names, you, me. In spite of seeing all the division, the capacity to see beyond the division, to see oneness, that is sattvic vision. Not unity and diversity, oneness in diversity. There's a subtle difference, right? Now, what exactly does this look like? We have shades of it, and we have the capacity to develop it also, right? So let us start where we are, where we see oneness very easily. We see oneness in our body. Is it not true that our hands are different from each other? Two hands, right and left. Then our hands are different from our feet. And our feet are different from our nose. Even though our feet run and our nose, even though our feet smell and our nose runs, they're different, right? We see oneness. We have 32 different teeth, but we see oneness in them. We see oneness in our body, right? Even though there's so much difference, we see oneness. Okay, now come to family. Not everybody does, but is it not true that we see oneness between family members? I mean, parents see oneness in their family. And because of that oneness, I mean, siblings go through a phase where they see like the opposite of oneness. They see like multiplicity in siblinghood. We've all gone through that at some phase in our life, right? If you've had siblings or cousins or whatever. But there's the capacity for somebody to see oneness in family. You see us as one family unit. Correct or wrong? Give me some, yes, no? Okay. Is it possible now to go beyond family to see oneness in a community? We are one Chinmaya family. Or we are all Indians. Or we are all Hindus. Or we are all Guyanese or Canadian or whatever. Right? We have the capacity to see that. We have the capacity to go beyond family to see something greater. We're all like that. Now, we also have the capacity to go beyond that, to see that we're all human beings. Isn't it? Beyond color, beyond race, beyond caste, beyond creed. We are all human beings. Okay, go beyond that also. What is beyond that? Well, look at yourself versus animals. Right now, you see there's me and there's animals. Can you see a oneness between you and the animals? I mean, it depends. Are you talking about animals that smile or animals that frown, or what are you talking about? What is the commonality between me and animals? Well, we're all alive. So there is a oneness between us, and that oneness is life. Plants also, the oneness between us and plants. There will be a oneness between us and plants, and that is life. Okay. Can you see a oneness between you and a rock? Okay. Now you're pushing it, okay? I was with you till now, but now you're pushing it. Don't equate me to a rock. I am not. Bhagavan is equating. He's saying we have to come to see this oneness. What is the oneness? What is common between me and a rock? Existence is what is common. The rock exists and I exist. Bhagavan says sarva bhuteshu. You know the word bhuta? Well, in Hindi, bhuta means like ghost, right? It's not what that means here. Bhagavan's not saying in all ghosts you see oneness, right? Some people in Sanskrit, bhuta doesn't mean ghost. Bhuta means, see, bhuta, some people translate as people or beings, right? Creatures. But actually, the word bhuta comes from the root bhu. Bhu means to be. Anything that is, anything that exists is a bhuta. Anything that exists is called a bhuta. Bhagavan is saying sarva bhuteshu. In everything that exists, you see oneness. Now see this really cool thing. I exist. Do I exist? Do you exist? Yes. Okay. Does the space between us exist? Yes. So what is it that doesn't exist? You know, there's nothing in this universe that doesn't exist. Now, teenager will say, no, non-existence exists. Well, say that statement again. Non-existence exists, right? Non-existence also exists as a concept. Otherwise, how can we talk about it? There's nothing that doesn't exist. The one who is able to see that there's no difference in the existence between you, me, the space between us, is the one that sees that oneness. You might try to divide existence. Right now, I'm going to divide this existence. I'm going to prove Bhagavan wrong. I'm going to show you. Well, even when you divide existence, you know how we divide space? You put a wall here and then you say, this is my space and this is your space. We try to divide space. We really do, huh? But when you divide space and you say, this is my room space and this is your room space, is there also not space in the wall that you use to divide the space? Really, it's just the wall that is in space that you're saying you've divided space. Has space been divided, really? Space is beyond division. Huh? Now you try to divide existence. But that division also exists, right? There's nothing we can do to existence that will divide it. So this is the implication. Now see, okay. This is where this thinking is supposed to go. That really existence is all pervasive. But what are implications of this vision? Because all of this is very philosophical, very interesting, whatever. But we're talking about sattvic jnana. You said it's going to be practical. How is this practical? See, if I have sattvic vision at any level, right? I may not be able to see existence as all pervasive. But even if I'm able to go from, I see the oneness in the different parts of my body. That's natural. Do I ever complain that my right hand does more work than my left hand? Sorry, that my dominant hand does more work than my non-dominant hand? Right hand, that's not fair. Left hand, that's not fair. Why are you letting me do all the work? No one ever complains that one hand is doing more work than the other. Then, in oneness between family members, it's only when you see division that there's problem. Everything was perfectly fine in Ayodhya when Kaikeyi Ma saw Bhagavan Ram as her son. Where did the problem come? When Manthara came and said, hey, Bharata is your son. Rama is Kausalya's son. That division, when the oneness went away, the problem came. When you see oneness, there's love, there's acceptance, there's integration. Okay, now oneness between human beings. If people see oneness between human beings, how many problems will be eradicated? How many societal problems will be eradicated if we see oneness in human beings? All religion problems, all race problems, all superiority, inferiority problems, all caste problems. Like, which problem won't go away between people if we're able to develop a vision of oneness between human beings? And then animals, we treat them differently because we see a difference, right? Like that. I had gone, I don't know if I told in this class, I had gone to the Ghanaian store in Toronto some years ago, and I was looking for a vegetarian pepper sauce because in Ghana, the pepper sauce has like fish or something in it, right? So I was looking to see if they had vegetarian pepper sauce. And he asked me, he was like, "Are you vegetarian?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm vegetarian. That's why I'm looking for a veggie one." And he was like, but God made animals for us to enjoy. So that's their philosophy, that's their vision of life, that there's a difference between humans and animals. But all animals have a life. That is a more sattvic vision, is it not? That all animals have a life. Now, if my life is precious to me, their life must be precious to them too. You know, I know somebody who was like a someone I know very well, who was a super staunch non-vegetarian. They were allergic to vegetarian food in their mind. They could only eat non-vegetarian food, right? And then they happened to watch like a 2-minute video of how animals are killed and processed for eating and all. You know, that person became vegetarian for 9 months. I mean, eventually their tongue became stronger than their mind and all of that, and they forgot the video and stuff. But seeing that video, what is it that caused it? Because there's an appreciation that life is life, that pain, I understand the pain caused to me, so I can empathize with the pain caused to another being. Right? Like that, we go. And then someone who sees a oneness in existence, well, there'll be no hatred for anything in this world, also, right? The consequences of this vision are seen very clearly by the actions of those who have this vision. And who are those? Saints. There's integration of all in their mind. They're always seeking the well being of all. Their compassion is unmatched. And where there is love, you want to do, you have compassion, and you have a better world. So, sattvic jnana is actually the solution to all of the world's problems. You know, if you give a little bit of thought to it. Another big thing that we realize is everyone and everything has a place, has a purpose that is equally as important as mine. I mean, Pocahontas tried to teach this and people didn't learn. There's a song called Colors of the Wind in Pocahontas. You go and listen to it and hear the lyrics. It says, one of the lines that is so powerful, it says, "You think the only people who are the people who look and think like you. But I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, has a spirit, has a name." You can tell I listened to this song a little too much, but it's really, really like powerful in this sentiment that is shared, right? Now see, oneness exists in this world. Difference exists in this world. Yes, both exist. When we look at the world, is it easier to focus on oneness or difference? It's easier to focus on difference. But if we can't see simple commonality between people, between things in the world, how will we ever come to appreciate the oneness that pervades this universe? That is our goal. And if I can't see oneness in family, oneness in community, oneness in humans, oneness in life, oneness in existence, well, forget about moksha. It can't happen. So, sattvic jnana is seeing a oneness beyond the difference. Not that the difference is not there, but I look beyond the difference to the oneness. So now I just realized that I have 1 minute left before I say closing prayer. Wow, how did that happen? Um, um, I want you all to think about what sattvic vision would look like in the workplace, and what true sattvic vision would look like in a mandir, also in an ashram. Right now, we don't have sattvic vision, even in spiritual places. There's division. There's you versus me. There's so much of that. What would sattvic vision look like at work, at home, at our mandirs? Give thought. Now, I'll just take one extra minute and tell you all. Rajasic vision, Bhagavan is going to say, a person focuses on the differences. And what will tamasic vision be? If you focus on the differences in Rajasic, is there anything left? Well, in tamasic vision, the person sees one small thing and takes that thing to be the whole. So we'll see that next week, right? Because these go together. I wanted to at least give you a tiny preview of what's coming up, a half-line preview. Means that sentiment of money is life, or this is life, or, my whole life revolves around one little thing. That's tamasic vision. Rajasic vision is I focus on the difference instead of the oneness. And sattvic vision is I see the oneness in spite of all the differences. And so our vision is going to drive our karma. Our karma is going to drive the kind of person that we are. And that is all going to drive my happiness in the world. Bhagavan is moving in that direction. Cool, isn't it? So think about it. Sattvic jnana is something that deserves so much thought. See what commonality you can find between yourself and those around you. The more you can shift your vision from the differences to the oneness, the more sattvic our vision becomes and the better our world becomes. I'll do closing prayer. And then I want to share a couple of announcements. And let me tell this one announcement. In Trinidad, from February 22nd to 28th, Swamiji is running a 1-week camp on Dakshinamurti Stotram. Dakshinamurti Stotram, if you found Karta and Akarta Vichara to be cool, like it has nothing on Dakshinamurti Stotram. You have to come and listen to Swamiji teach that, right? And then we'll be going, the same things we do in other camps also. We'll be going up to our Tapovan ashram in the Amazon, in off-road jeeps, and there will be tours of Trinidad, and all that will happen. If you know anyone who's interested, who's able to take time off at such short notice, who's interested in Vedanta, you let them know. Nice escape from the snow for those in Canada. And in Guyana, well, it's only one quick 1-hour flight, so if you get time off, y'all can come. I'll do closing prayer and then I'll stay for questions if anyone has. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Harihi Om.